In 2017, the world witnessed one of the most brutal campaigns of violence in the modern history. The Myanmar military systematic attack on the Rohingya people. The United Nations Human Rights Chief called this violence ethnic cleansing. But what does this term mean? And why was it used to describe what happened in Myanmar? So let's find out.
The term ethnic cleansing carries immense weight. It implies the intentional eradication or forced displacement of an ethnic or religious group. And the violence faced by the Rohingya in 2017 fits this description perfectly. The military action went far beyond a counter-insurgency operation. They systematically targeted an entire group. Villages were destroyed. Men and boys were killed. Women were raped. And thousands were forced to flee to their lives. This wasn't random violence, it was organized. The military used terror tactics to drive the Rohingya out of Myanmar. The government of Myanmar, by enabling these actions, showed the world that the Rohingya were just not unwanted. They were actively targeted. What followed was a campaign designed to expel the Rohingya from their ancestral lands. For decades, the Rohingya had been marginalized, denied citizenship, stripped of basic rights, and treated as outsiders in their own country. And in 2017, the military's violence marked the peak of a long history of persecution. The goal was clear: to erase the Rohingya people of Myanmar. By calling this ethnic cleansing, the UN Human Rights Chief highlighted the systematic nature of violence. This wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, and the international community must take an action. We cannot allow such atrocities to go unpunished. The world must stand with the Rohingya and demand justice. We have a moral responsibility to prevent future ethnic cleansings and protect human rights for all.
In 2017, over 700,000 Rohingya people fled their homes in Myanmar and crossed into Bangladesh. But why did they risk everything to make this journey? Why did they leave behind everything they knew and loved? So the answer is simple. They had no choice.
For decades, the Rohingya people have faced discrimination and violence in Myanmar. But in August 2017, things escalated. After insurgent attacks in Rakhine State, Myanmar military launched a brutal crackdown. Whole villages were burned to the ground, men and boys were murdered, and women were subjected to mass rape. Children were killed, and entire communities were destroyed. This wasn't just a military operation, it was a campaign of terror designed to wipe out the Rohingya people. The military's action made life in Myanmar unbearable for the Rohingya, leaving them with only one option: escape. Bangladesh, Myanmar's neighboring country, became the nearest refugee. True, the Bangladeshi government was initially reluctant to allow such a large influx of refugees. They eventually opened their borders. The journey wasn't easy. Many Rohingya walked for days, facing exhaustion, hunger, and disease. But for them, the risk of crossing into Bangladesh was far less terrifying than staying in Myanmar. The Rohingya did not leave Myanmar voluntarily. They fled to survive. Their journey wasn't about seeking a better life. It was about finding safety from the violence they were facing. The refugee camp in Bangladesh, through overcrowded and under-resourced, provided them with the only hope of survival. This wasn't a choice, it was a forced migration, driven by fear, violence, and the loss of everything they once knew. We must not forget the suffering of the Rohingya people. We must continue to support them and push for accountability for those responsible for these crimes. The world must come together to ensure that such horrors never happen again.
And now, let's turn it over to Joanne Mangilan for the next topic.